Hey guys, my name is Kathryn. Thank you for joining me again for another episode of Missing the Missing. In this episode, number 16, we're going to be talking about Aeryn Gillern. Aeryn Michael John Gillern was born as Aaron Michael Jackson on April 28, 1973 in Elmira, New York, America. He loved his family and has a younger brother called Raman, and their mother, Kathryn Gilleran, had a successful 20-year career in the Ithaca Police Department, rising to the rank of Neighbourhood Policing Department Head. To avoid any confusion, I'll clarify 2 points just here. Firstly, there is a difference in the way that Aeryn and Kathryn's surnames are spelt, with Kathryn opting to reintroduce the A as per her father's family name and the original Irish spelling of it. Secondly, Aeryn went on to legally change his name in August of 2001. Aeryn began his youth in Ithaca and then went to Groton High School, graduating in June of 1991, before moving on to study theology at the Franciscan University of Steubenville, Ohio. After earning his Bachelor of Arts degree in May of 1997, Aeryn would spend the following year on a student exchange program studying abroad and subsequently return to the same university where, in 1999, he obtained a Master of Arts with honours degree in theology and Christian ministry. He also studied philosophy and global studies and would go on to earn 2 more master's degrees at Webster University. It is perhaps then not surprising that Aeryn was a deeply religious Catholic who loved and valued education. When studying abroad for his gap year, Aeryn had attended the Graz Seco Seminary in Austria. Initially, he experienced a bit of a culture shock, but in no time at all, he settled in and fell in love with Austria. In 2001, Aeryn followed his heart to the landlocked country in Europe, which hosts the headquarters of many major international organisations, including the United Nations, or UN. The same year, Austria's innovative capital city of Vienna was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is known for its high quality of life, tourism, and its ranking as one of the world's most livable cities. It is here that Aeryn earned his later 2 master's degrees. Aeryn would ultimately find himself living in a large apartment overlooking the River Danube, which runs through the picturesque and prosperous city. Vienna is known as both the city of music and the city of dreams, being home to the late Sigmund Freud. In 2003, Aeryn secured a position as a research assistant for the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, or UNIDO, based in the UN headquarters, where he was popular and well liked by his colleagues. UNIDO is a specialised agency of the UN that assists nations in growing and developing industry to reduce poverty. As we've mentioned, Aeryn was very religious, and according to his mother Kathy, who wasn't actively practicing religion at the time, he had a calling early on in life to become a Roman Catholic priest. He had a fascination with the church, loved God and going to Mass, particularly Latin Rites Mass. He especially liked the architecture of the churches in Vienna and how they fervently celebrated religious holidays there. Kathryn was known to joke with her son about him becoming the first American-born pope, to which he would respond by calling her Mama de Papa. During his studies, however, Aeryn would learn that, should he become a priest, he would need to preach against homosexuality. This struck a powerful chord with him, as he had known for a long time that he himself was gay. After many discussions with his mother, and not wanting to fall into hypocrisy, Aeryn decided he could serve the church in other ways, which put a stop to his studies pursuant to and dreams of the priesthood. As for Aeryn's personal life, he had a good relationship with his partner, who lived in Switzerland, and had many friends. He enjoyed classical music and loved to shop, though he did struggle to find clothes to fit him in Austria due to his athletic build. Aeryn also competed in various gay competitions. In fact, he was nominated twice for Mr. Gay Austria, winning first place in 2006. There was nothing out of the ordinary in the lead up to Aeryn's disappearance. In the summer of 2007, Aeryn and his partner holidayed in Egypt, and then in September he visited his mother in Cortland, New York for 10 days, where she described him as being in a great mood. They visited his favourite places, including J.C. Penney, where he stocked up on clothes and shoes, and Cornell Plantations, which is now known as the Cornell Botanic Gardens. These gardens consist of 4,300 acres or 1,700 hectares of nature areas specialising in trees and shrubs native to New York State, with an acclaimed themed herb garden. At the time, Kathy was fostering 2 kittens called Spike and Woofy, which posed the odd problem with Aeryn. He had never been a big fan of cats, avoiding them most of the time because of the fur that they would leave on his clothing. However, after bottle feeding Woofy, Kathy explained that Aeryn fell totally and inexplicably in love with the ball of fur. Whilst home, Aeryn also helped his mother to put her house up for sale, as she had intended to store her possessions and spend 6 months in Vienna with her son, before relocating to Fort Myers in Florida. Aeryn was looking forward to his mother experiencing the European lifestyle. On the 19th of September 2007, Kathryn remembered looking out of the window, watching her son walk her dog whilst reading his well-worn Prayers from the Roman Breviary. She later took Aeryn to Syracuse Airport, where he assured her that he would see her soon, and telling her not to cry, he cracked a joke about butterscotch pudding. She laughed, not knowing that this would be the last time she would see her son. The following month, on the 27th of October 2007, Kathryn called Aeryn to update him with the real estate market, explaining that there had not yet been any offers. He proposed that she join him in Austria during the first week in December for 10 days. She confirmed that she would look into the suggestion, before telling him that they would speak again soon and hanging up. This would be the last time she would speak to her son. At the time of his disappearance, Aeryn Gillern was described as a Caucasian male, 34 years of age and 185 centimetres, or about 6 foot tall. He has a very athletic build, weighing about 95 kilos. Aeryn was bald and has been described as having both grey and green eyes. He is sometimes referred to by his middle name Michael or Mike, and can speak broken German as well as English. 2 days after the phone call with his mother, on Monday the 29th of October 2007, Aeryn put a wash on and went to work as usual. He had baked over the weekend, as he often did, and brought treats in for his co-workers. He was planning a conference that day, and he spoke to and saw his personal trainer from Holmes Place Fitness Club. He shopped at the commissary at the UN at 4:15 in the afternoon. He was known to have purchased items which were in his bag left at the sauna later. They have no bearing on the disappearance and are believed to have been baking ingredients. Aeryn finished work and signed out at 6 p.m. It was cold and dark outside with sleet and rain. At 7:27 p.m. he sent a text message to his partner in Switzerland and then had a 10-minute telephone conversation after work with a female friend called Arnissa. These communications are not thought to have had any bearing on what would later happen. He later attended at a popular men's sauna called Kaiserbrundel, known locally as a gay sauna, where he was a regular customer. The bathhouse opened its doors in 1889 and, according to Wikipedia, for the last 120 years, is generally regarded as the oldest and most distinguished bathing establishment in Vienna. It would appear that whilst Aeryn checked in, he never checked out. A spa employee would later state that a fight broke out amongst a group of tourists, in which Aeryn engaged with a tourist who was alleged to have gone to the hospital. Witnesses would claim to have seen Aeryn running out of the sauna, naked, leaving behind his clothes and possessions, and running along Weibergasse, passing the Palais Coburg down to Schwedenplatz and the Urania. The time was thought to be approximately 7:30 p.m. though Aeryn was on the phone at this time, and the spa employee would later claim that this occurred at about 10 p.m. Aeryn failed to retrieve his belongings from the sauna and did not turn up at work for the following 2 days. Aeryn had a brilliant attendance record and was known to contact beforehand if he was going to be absent. An upstairs neighbour and colleague became concerned. The concern heightened when Aeryn's partner hadn't heard from him, and the authorities were then notified. On the 31st of October 2007, Aeryn's panicked partner contacted Ithaca Police Department in New York and asked for a message to be passed to Kathryn Gilleran informing her of her son's disappearance. When Kathy called the HR department of Aeryn's work, she was told that the police would not take a missing persons report because Aeryn was not an Austrian citizen and that by law they weren't required to. Kathryn and Aeryn's younger brother Raman spent several hours on the phone with him and Aeryn's upstairs neighbour as they continued trying to contact other acquaintances. It took Aeryn's partner, his mother and his employer contacting the Austrian Foreign Ministry before the police were pressured or instructed to take a report. On Thursday, the 1st of November 2007, Aeryn's employer, partner and neighbour went to the police again to officially report Aeryn as missing, and Kathryn would fly to Vienna to search for her son. Frustratingly, the Austrian police, as we've mentioned, initially refused to investigate, claiming that it was not their duty to investigate the disappearance of non-citizens. Weeks after Aeryn's disappearance, on the 21st of November 2007, the story finally hits the headlines of the Hute newspaper and the police called for witnesses. By the next day, witness accounts started trickling in, despite a denial of that fact by the authorities. An investigative journalist discovered 2 student witnesses who had given a statement to the police. They claimed to have seen a naked man running like crazy. Quote, "My girlfriend whistled at him because we thought maybe he lost a bet or something. It was absolutely strange. He turned his head when my girlfriend whistled at him." It was stated that they were scared to death when they saw his face and the fear on it. They thought he was running for his life. They then went on to say that they had seen his face when he turned around, which is how they recognised him from the picture in the newspaper, and that then he took off again. As Kathy describes it, the sauna had called the police twice around 10 p.m. because a fight had broken out and either Aeryn or another had been injured. They called an ambulance, but Aeryn ran out. However, the police said he'd been seen in the Danube at 6:15 p.m, not 10 p.m, and said that there were no emergency calls made at all that evening and no ambulance went. Either the police or the sauna was lying. At 6:50 p.m, Aeryn would have run through a huge pedestrian area, 4 or 5 lanes of traffic with trams and horse-drawn carriages, through the streets and the theatre district before jumping into the Danube. But the police, as we know, said there were no witnesses before changing their stance. After that, a local fisherman declared seeing a man in the water at the confluence of the Weinfluss into the Danube Canal. The official report is worded as follows. A man is drifting in the water of the Danube Canal near Urania Cafe Bar and Restaurant or Hermann Strand Bar. He is shouting for help. I don't know why he didn't help him. Patrols were dispatched to and searched the riverbank between 8:21 and 9:21 p.m. in Vienna District 1, beginning at Urania Strasse No. 1. After that, downstream, searching on both banks of the Danube Canal, with the site of operation being the confluence of the Vienna River with the Danube Canal. The rescue service and fire department were notified. However, the current was strong and fast, hampering the search efforts. The head of the Leopoldstadt firefighting squad advised that a diver operation was not possible or else did not seem sensible because of the strong current. Further search measures were said to have continued after this time, though this is in direct contradiction both to the findings at the later inquest and to the fire department's statements, with the former claiming that no other targeted or coordinated search operations had taken place and the latter advising that on account of the strong current prevailing at the operation site, further searching was to be hopeless and therefore terminated. This story also changed on a number of occasions, with the witness later citing that he had instead only heard a splash. Search dogs were not deployed to the scene since there were no indications calling for them apparently, though a notice was issued to the Danube riparian states, those being the countries that border the Danube River. Aeryn is listed on the Austrian Missing Persons website, and Austria's Federal Investigative Bureau also initiated a worldwide Interpol search regarding the disappearance of Aeryn, including his DNA profile. Needless to say, nothing was found. There are discrepancies in the official timeline which would later be questioned at an inquest. The issues were addressed as follows. Quote, "The assumed time is based on the statements made by several witnesses. Since the missing persons report was filed 3 days after the incident, only at this time could a connection by name be made between the unknown man in the Danube Canal and Mr. Gillern. The time of departure from the sauna could no longer be determined exactly since the witness statements diverge. For the 7 p.m. time, it is a matter of the earliest possible time according to the witness statements. One witness gave 7:30 p.m. as a possible time. Eyewitnesses report having noticed a naked man running toward the Danube Canal at about 8 p.m. The telephone call of the witness who noticed a man drifting in the Danube Canal took place precisely at 8:21 p.m. Regardless of the questionable timeline, this appears to be the point at which Austrian police decide that Aeryn took his own life. Many people, however, including Kathy and Aeryn's partner, suggest that the Austrian investigation was hindered instead due to the homophobic and xenophobic attitude of those involved, a claim which is acutely denied by the authorities. Either way, it's clear that the investigation was doomed from the very beginning. What is undisputed are the following facts. At home, everything looked as though Aeryn could return any minute with clothes left in the washer and his freshly baked treats on the kitchen counter. CCTV camera disappeared from the sauna. More on this later. Austrian authorities changed their statement of findings on multiple occasions. A subsequent inquest would contradict much of the information police conveyed to Kathy. On the 1st of November 2007, investigators seized Aeryn's possessions from the sauna. On the 3rd of November, Aeryn's partner was interviewed, and Kathy was told that the canal was being patrolled daily by police boats looking for Aeryn, though later on, Lieutenant Heimer advised that there were no boats searching the canal, that it would be a very expensive thing to do, and that he would not authorise it. At 1:30 on the 6th of November, Kathryn attended at the office of Investigator Weiss, where she was presented with Aeryn's belongings from the sauna and told of the police's hypothesis. They suggested that Aeryn had committed suicide because he was HIV positive and that he had received the results on the morning that he disappeared. The later inquest would contradict this, advising that there is no indication in the record that the investigators considered a positive HIV test, if there was one, as the reason for suicide by Aeryn. Kathy would later find the medical letter containing Aeryn's lab test results in the very possessions that had been handed to her and which had been in the custody of investigators for days. The letter was dated the 29th of October, 2007, and the tests showed that Aeryn was, in fact, not HIV positive. Additionally, Kathy would find Aeryn's MP3 player amongst the same possessions, when this was supposedly strapped to her son's arm as he ran naked from the sauna and out into the Viennese night. Many things just didn't seem to add up, whatever angle you looked at it from, especially the timeline. On the same day, the 6th of November, Investigator Weiss claimed to Kathy that Aeryn was violent and it would be printed in the press that he was emotionally unbalanced. It is not known publicly where the stigma came from, though the comment would later be retracted on the basis that it was hearsay. This was the first point where Kathy, in her own words, would probably never know what happened to her son and feeling that the authorities were devaluing him. On the 9th of November 2007, Aeryn's brother Rahman flew to Vienna to assist his mother in the search. In total, Kathryn would stay for 5 weeks, but the Vienna police did not interview any of Aeryn's friends or colleagues at the time, while Kathryn would meet and engage with over 50 of them. It would later transpire that during the whole course of the investigation, according to the case record, written statements were taken from 7 people regarding the matter, and information was obtained by telephone from another 10 people. Kathy herself was never interviewed, despite a report to the contrary being filed with the police department. Days later, Kathy, Aeryn's brother Rahman, and Angelika Radax, a bilingual psychologist at UNIDO, met with investigators. From here, relations between Aeryn's loved ones and the law enforcement deteriorated significantly. Investigator Heimer accused Kathy of being uncooperative as she questioned the interpreter, the investigator speaking primarily in German, and a potential low-level assault on Rahman. It would also appear that there was passive-aggressive obstruction from the Austrian authorities in not allowing the translator appropriate time to relay all of what was being said. Investigator Heimerer went on to explain to Kathy that there are two different kinds of suicide, premeditated and spontaneous. Despite returning Aeryn's phone to Kathy, police confirmed that they had not checked it for evidence. Then and there, the investigators read through Aeryn's text messages and alleged incorrectly that Aeryn was having an affair. They then claimed that this, not the HIV results, was the reason for his supposed suicide. Their next move would be to claim that Aeryn had two identities and two passports, which prompted Kathy to explain that Aeryn had legally changed his name from that on his original birth certificate in both Austria and the USA legally. Kathy compiled all of the aforementioned information in a letter that she wrote to Police Chief Tikal following a meeting with him, Investigator Weiss, and Angelika Radax, who, as we know, is a bilingual psychologist at UNIDO, on the 5th of December 2007. Sadly, for undisclosed reasons, the UNIDO workers who accompanied Kathy to the police meetings declined to assist any further. On the 6th of December, Kathy was taken by the manager for a tour around the sauna. As for CCTV, the footage was not requested or reviewed by police, despite there having been a fight on the night in question within the bathhouse. Kathy said there was another CCTV camera in one of the intersections police say Aeryn ran across. The police allegedly said it wasn't necessary to get the tapes because nothing happened. Kurt Linzer of the Vienna Cold Case Management Team commented that the owners of the sauna had been cooperative. The account was that a guest advised that a fight had broken out, but given the nature of the establishment, the sauna doesn't register the names of guests. Clearly, this would become problematic when trying to identify those involved, though it was allegedly confirmed that there was no indication of drugs or violence whatsoever. I don't know how this could be, given the subsequent reports of hospital attendance. It also came to light during the course of the investigation that, as his mother explained, Aeryn had filed a complaint on the 13th of January 2003 against the Vienna Police Department regarding an incident with the police that had occurred 2 days prior. Aeryn had forgotten to stamp his ticket before boarding public transport. He admitted that in his frustration he had called the conductor a name of some sort, at which point he claimed he was taken, manhandled to the police station, where he was then assaulted by police officers. Potentially, this is from where the earlier information about Aeryn becoming violent had arisen. Either this or maybe the altercation at the sauna, but who really knows? What is known is that Aeryn had once stopped a thief from stealing a lady's purse and was seen, by all accounts, to be a respectful individual. Kathryn struggled with the Viennese officers working her son's case, likening them to the Keystone Cops, 1920s comic silent movie characters. The extent of their search, she said, was to look under Aeryn's bed and pull out his sofa bed like he'd been hiding under it for days. However, Armin Harm, spokesperson for the Austrian Federal Criminal Investigations Bureau, went on to say that the police had done all they could. Additionally, Cy Ferenchak, spokesperson for the American State Department, advised that American authorities had no power to intervene in an investigation in a foreign country. A high-ranking official in the Vienna police claimed that no shortfalls whatsoever were determined. All necessary measures were taken within the scope of what was legally possible. I have nothing more to say about this case, he said. Our officers did their work. There are no shortfalls. On the one-year anniversary of Aeryn's disappearance, Kathy returned to Vienna to work with journalist Joseph Jepp, who published an article criticising the police conduct. On the 13th of October 2008, Kathy met with members of the Parliamentary Green Party. On the 11th of December of the same year, they filed an official inquest request with the Federal Minister of the Interior, Dr. Maria Fechter, questioning the police investigation and behaviour. The inquest pointed out the problems with the official police findings that Aeryn, despondent with hearing that he was HIV positive, ran naked from the sauna after a fight and jumped in the Danube Canal in an act of spontaneous suicide. We will discuss this in more detail later on. Every year since 2008, Kathy has returned to Vienna to hold a vigil near the sauna where Aeryn had last been seen. On the 10th of February 2009, the Minister of the Interior released the results of the inquest. There were 39 questions altogether posed. The report is available from the Aeryn Gillern website, but the main points are: the investigation was confirmed at the time to still be ongoing under the Vienna State Detective Bureau East Branch Division. Regular police units have also been alerted, though no concrete leads or starting points for further planned search operations have come to light. The inquest confirmed the official findings in relation to Aeryn's disappearance. More on this later. Search efforts and resources were clarified and the issues with the official timeline addressed. The case officer report advised that Kathy was not given a copy of the case record because the legal basis for this was absent. The state police headquarters in Vienna saw no cause for disciplinary or administrative measures in relation to officer conduct. The Office of Special Investigations of Federal Police Headquarters in Vienna had begun to undertake inquiries accordingly, which had, at the time, not yet been concluded. It is denied that Aeryn's prior police complaint played any role in the investigation into his disappearance. Inquiries were still ongoing at the time as to whether or not Aeryn was a victim of violence. It is confirmed that a project had been tasked to the authorities concerning the dealings with interested parties in connection with cases of disappearance. In connection with that, training content is to be developed accordingly, they said. In 2011, a documentary named Gone, The Disappearance of Aeryn Gillern debuted. It is narrated by Kathy, Aeryn's mother, who participated as it provided an incredible opportunity to tell her son's story. Tragically, the message clearly present throughout the investigation and reflected in the documentary was summed up in one phrase: "What happened to your son here doesn't matter." That same year, Kathy would be in Vienna for both the 4th anniversary and the international debut of Aeryn's disappearance. Kathy explained that she had contacted the human rights officer in the case, Lieutenant Friedrich Kovar. Quote, "As a courtesy to a bereaved parent, as well as a fellow retired police officer, I am pleading with you to make arrangements to meet with me during the short time I am in Vienna." The response was not exactly helpful, to be perfectly honest. Quote, "I am at most reluctant to meet with you because it is my strong impression that such a meeting will create hopes and expectations which neither I nor the Vienna police can fulfill. At this point in time, I see no possibilities to assist you in your quest." The Austrian police had not met with Kathy since February of 2009. Despite this, as a result of the documentary being aired, journalist Joseph Jepp published a news article, the media attention and press from which brought over 4,000 hits to Aeryn's website in less than 1 week. Kathy was flooded with emails offering assistance, though sadly none from those in a position to do so professionally. In March of 2010, the Austrian Cold Case Department was founded to use special investigative methods to deal with complex cases that date back some time. Incidentally, one such case would be the now solved case of the kidnapping of Natasha Kampusch. Kathy was informed that Aeryn's case would be handed over to them, though sadly, for unknown reasons, this would not be the case at this time. On Thursday, the 5th of July 2012, Der Falter, the Vienna Review and the Green Party co-sponsored a very successful theatrical premiere of Gone. On the 6th of July 2012, ORF 2 would broadcast a programme similar to the Fifth Estate or 60 Minutes about Aeryn's disappearance. Peter Resetaritz hosts the programme. He is a well-known investigative journalist, lawyer and presenter. In November 2012, Joseph Jepp filed a request appeal to the National Advocacy, equivalent to an ombudsman board or service. They would look into the case and met with Kathy on the 31st of October 2013 to explain their processes. On the 12th of June of 2014, investigative journalist Joseph Jepp would write an article confirming that the cold case team were reopening the case as a result of the National Advocacy Review. Kathy had been awaiting this day since the opening of the department back in 2010. Mario Heil, spokesperson of the Austrian FBI, stated, "We are reopening the case and looking at every detail." Of the discrepancies, he would say, "We want to resolve these oddities now," whilst asking for potential witnesses to get in touch. On the 29th of October of the same year, the 7th anniversary of Aeryn's vanishing, a meeting was held between the cold case squad, journalist Joseph Jepp, and Kathryn Gilleran. Kathy believes they are sincere in trying their best to find out what happened. 7 years later, my voice, she says, speaking on behalf of Aeryn, was finally heard. Frustratingly, it was confirmed by Kurt Linzer, head of the cold case management team, that the Danube Canal was only searched by a team of divers 7 years after the disappearance. He clarified that the diving mission was conducted with the support of the Special Police Unit, Cobra, for 3 days in May of 2015 using specialised equipment including sonar. They surged from the confluence of the Weinfluss into the Danube Canal, or the Urania where the fisherman witness was alleged to have been, in the west, to the barrage Freudenau in the east, including artificial barricades that direct the water and its currents. Nothing was located. A second meeting with the cold case team would take place on the 3rd of November 2015, where Kurt Linzer shared with Kathy the case file that they had compiled. By that point, it included over 50 interviews conducted in the last year, amongst other items. Although answers were still elusive, Kathy still had unwavering confidence in their sincerity and commitment to Aeryn. Kathy offers her greatest thanks to the officers. On the 29th of October 2016, for the 9th anniversary of her son's disappearance, Kathy yet again returned to Vienna. There, surrounded by friends, she remembered Aeryn, shared memories, and talked to people walking by. The posters were in both German and English. Unfortunately, the owner and attorney of the Kaiserbrundel sauna caused some distress, not further described, and was therefore reported to the cold case team. In November of 2016, Aeryn's aunt, Kathy's sister, would sadly pass away without knowing what had happened to Aeryn. On the 29th of September 2017, a team of ORF Thema broadcast a special on Aeryn's disappearance by reporter Andrea Poschmeyer. On the 27th of October 2017, Kathy met again with Kurt Linzer, head of the cold case squad, who mentioned searching the canal again. On the 29th of October of 2017 was the 10th anniversary of Aeryn's disappearance. The date would pass by with no new information. Devastatingly, on the 4th of December 2018, Joseph Jepp contacted Kathy with crushing news. Despite all of her hopes, Kurt Linzer had decided that there was no new information regarding Aeryn's disappearance, and therefore they would no longer investigate it. The case would remain open officially, but it is no longer active. Kathy wrote to Kurt, pleading with him to search the canal for that one final time that he'd mentioned in the meeting months prior. It is not known at this time whether or not he kept his word. Let's start with the official police theory. As we know, they suggest that Aeryn went to the sauna straight from work. They suggest that at exactly 6:50, he was listening to his music, playing on an armband through headphones, with his eyes closed. They suggest he was startled by an unknown guest who caught his attention either by tapping on his shoulder and asking if he was okay, or by bumping into him. Remember, Aeryn had, according to authorities, received news that morning that he was HIV positive and was therefore emotionally unbalanced and despondent. They therefore suggest that this interaction was enough to panic Aeryn, making him run naked from downstairs in the sauna, up the stairs, directly past his changing room where his clothes, wallet, and all his personal belongings were, and out the door with just a towel on. Allegedly, he then continued to run through the busy streets and jump into the Danube Canal in an act of spontaneous suicide. Throughout Kathy's many discussions with mental health experts, psychiatrists, and psychologists, none have ever heard of spontaneous suicide and don't believe that running naked from a building for numerous blocks and jumping into a river would ever be considered spontaneous. As for why no body has been recovered, allegedly the water temperature was 9 degrees Celsius and moving with a velocity of 1 metre per second. Police claim that the strong undertow can suck a body down to the ground quickly, where it can get entangled. After days or weeks, the body would probably begin to decay, or the body got in contact with a ship's propeller. Let's face it, if Aeryn had attempted to commit suicide by drowning, then he didn't really need to leave the bathhouse. Also, his phone records show that he was actually texting his partner and speaking with a friend at the time that authorities would have him listening to his music in the sauna. And let's not forget that his music player was seized with his clothing that had been left behind in the sauna changing room, undamaged. It is interesting that the fishermen claim to have seen a bald-headed man floating in the canal, shouting for help, but then later claimed that he had only heard a splash. And need we be reminded that the phone call came into the police at 8:21 p.m, though police records show multiple units deployed and on scene searching the canal from that very same time. It would be very coincidental that all of those patrols would just so happen to be there in the area anticipating such a call. So either they were there at the time the bald-headed man was there, in which case why did they not find him or his body? Or else it would appear that the police records have been manipulated. There is one way that this should be easily proven or disproven and would certainly assist with the timeline. Certainly in the UK, and I expect elsewhere throughout Europe and the world, many police forces have a stock of police radios. In fact, it is a prerequisite in many forces for the police to use their radios, as this is the primary form of communication when the control or command centre dispatch patrols. These radios are equipped with GPS capability for the safety and tracking of the officers amongst other reasons, and therefore provides much of the information that could resolve these questions. Some of the biggest issues with the police theory is that Aeryn was not depressed. He'd received the all clear from the HIV test that day, the letter being in his possessions that had been returned to his mother, and the time frame is completely off. Was Aeryn at the sauna at 7, as they claim, or was he there at 10 p.m, as the sauna claim? From people who have been to this and similar saunas, they advise that there is usually a foyer or reception area and another internal door, making it difficult to just run through the place. The sauna is discreet about its clientele, some being members of high society. The establishment would not record guest names and the doors are usually alarmed. Additionally, we know that in order for the story to be true, there would have been countless witnesses, as the district in which Aeryn would have had to have run through should have been busy, going off the official timeline, that is. And let's not forget that it had allegedly been confirmed that no drugs or alcohol were involved in the altercation. But perhaps the strangest and most suspicious thing is that a CCTV camera from the sauna disappeared and was never located. We have to wonder, what was recorded on that footage? We know that Aeryn was making plans, discussing holidays with his partner, and the upcoming visit from his mother. He had purchased flights with Air Berlin as recently as the week prior to his disappearance to visit his partner in Zurich, Switzerland, where he lived and worked. He had also made another reservation to visit his partner in Finland, where his partner's family lives. He was in a good, secure job with great prospects. He was planning for the future, buying groceries, doing laundry. Over 50 of his acquaintances describe Aeryn as a happy, steadfast, socially integrated human and deny the possibility that he would consider suicide. His doctor, Michael Moser, knew Aeryn very well, according to Kathy, and had seen him the week prior to his disappearance. He confirmed that Aeryn was not suicidal, saying that he had talked about taking additional courses through Webster University and about travelling. There was no indication whatsoever that Aeryn was anything other than a man in his prime. Some of these issues pose the question, did Aeryn actually make it out of the sauna in the way that's described? One theory that has gained a lot of traction is that Aeryn witnessed or was involved in an altercation in the sauna that placed him in danger. According to Kathy, Aeryn was not a fighter. He was extremely non-confrontational. Through her research of the Kaiserbrundel, shows that it is one of the oldest gay saunas in the world, located in a very moneyed area in Vienna. There were movers and shakers in the political scene and even the top brass in the police that were using it. Clients include people in power who could have a lot to lose if people knew that they frequented it. Knowing that Aeryn had had a negative encounter with the Viennese police in 2003, resulting in a complaint to Amnesty International, I don't know the results of that complaint, but it would probably be safe to say that Aeryn was not exactly popular with the local police, nor was he a big fan of them. It has been suggested that there was an incident in the sauna where Aeryn was injured or maybe worse, or that he witnessed undesirable dealings by highly influential people. The latter theory could explain why Aeryn felt the need to run out of the sauna, without even collecting his clothing from the changing room, which he would have had to run past in order to exit. Given how the police had treated him previously, it might have made him anxious and not want to repeat that experience, or he could have felt that he would be framed for something. The alternative possibility is that there was some accidental or deliberate foul play in the sauna that night, and that Aeryn may have been discreetly disposed of. There could equally have been a cover-up either by those involved or in order to protect those involved. Some people have suggested that Aeryn may have experimented with illicit substances, which could have caused an accidental death or erratic behaviour, which was covered up. However, we know that Aeryn had a very athletic physique, went regularly to the gym, and seemed to take good care of himself, avoiding unhealthy substances. Either way, Kathy, amongst probably most others, believes that Aeryn has passed away. But he still needs to be found, and there may be somebody who needs to be brought to justice. Kathy believes that he witnessed something and was scared to death. She says, "I think he heard something about the police being called, and he was scared of them. I can see him running, but I'm not saying the police killed him, because I can't prove that. But I think the police saw him and chased him." Sadly, we may never know what happened to Aeryn on the 29th of October 2007 in Vienna. Given that we have discussed, or at least noted, the case of Natasha Kampusch, I felt it appropriate to briefly discuss it in this section. Natasha Maria Kampusch was born on the 17th of February 1988 in Austria. She was abducted on the 2nd of March 1998 at the age of 10 whilst on her way to school. She was held for 8 years before a lapse in her captor's attention afforded her an opportunity to take, which she seized on the 23rd of August 2006. Despite her years in captivity, she had educated herself and astonished police officers by her intelligence and vocabulary. She has since successfully rebuilt her life and has told her story in the form of a book, 3096 Days, which inspired the 2013 German film 3096. It is heartwarming to see her flourish after such adversity, and I wish her all the best in any of her future endeavours. I'm going to leave you now with a repeat of Aeryn's description and some final words from his mother, Kathy. At the time of his disappearance, Aeryn Gillern was described as a Caucasian male, 34 years of age, and 185 centimetres or about 6 foot tall. He has a very athletic build, weighing about 95 kilograms. Aeryn was bald and has been described as having both grey and green eyes. He is sometimes referred to by his middle name, Michael or Mike, and can speak broken German as well as English. Since Aeryn's disappearance, he has missed out on many family milestones. Sadly, his maternal aunt has passed away, and he missed his grandmother's 100th birthday. His younger brother Rahman has since had a son, who he lovingly named Aaron. With each passing year, says Kathy, as people that Aeryn loved are getting older and passing away, my determination to find the truth only strengthens, as it is not I alone who grieve his loss. She continues, regardless of your personal feelings or opinions about my son's personal life and sexual orientation, my son was a guest in your country, not a criminal, not a burden to your economy, not a threat to you or anyone else. He was a hard worker who loved his job, had an unending thirst for education, prided himself on staying physically fit, and was proud of who and what he was. He kept his private and professional life separate, which, as far as I know, is not criminal or suspicious. Aeryn's story, although unique in many ways, is far too common an occurrence for those who are perceived as different. She explains, "What I've now seen, what I've now experienced, is that whether it's because of sexuality, gender, race, religion, or country of origin, too many people get treated as less than. And unfortunately, this negative judgment can extend to family members of those labelled as different. We need more reminders that we were all in this together as human beings. I hope and pray that my story can now serve as one of those reminders, as difficult as this has been. Discrimination needn't be such a force if all of us speak out against it, joining together, supporting each other as active citizens. I wish you security and success." Giving up is not an option. Some people have asked me when I will stop. I realise that not being in this situation, it may be hard for people to empathise. There is no time limit on unresolved grief. The emotional upheaval of not knowing doesn't diminish. I don't know what happened to my son and have no cemetery to visit. So I will continue. I will just keep on fighting. I will keep going. I will continue to keep holding a vigil because I am not going away. I am not going away. Eventually, I hope we'll get some answers or someone will get a conscience. I know that people know what happened to my son. Thank you, she says, to everyone who took the time to come and hear Aeryn's story, to try to get answers, to learn the truth about what happened to my son, and to seek some type of justice for him, even something as simple as an apology. Please keep Aeryn in your hearts and minds. For all those who have lit candles in their homes and hearts, please continue to do so. I have not given up my search for the truth and for justice for Aeryn. Thank you, Kathryn Gilleran. So, thank you for joining me again for this episode of Missing the Missing and for listening to Aeryn's story. I do apologise, my voice is still giving me havoc. And I just wanted to say a little thing because I'm aware that I've not done it yet and this is the 16th video. I wanted to thank you all if you've chosen to subscribe and for all the comments and watches and likes that you give. That's very, very supportive. I'm very grateful for it. I'm not a big talker about anything other than the cases in question, but I really did feel that I needed to say thank you to you all. So thank you very, very much. The world seems to be going crazy as we speak, so make sure you stay well, stay healthy, look after each other, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!